Okay, everybody, we'll get going. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we get into it, if you can read through the risk disclaimer, that would be great. As we're going through the webinar, if you have any questions, just type them into the chat or the question and answer box. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see your chat, but you're more than welcome to join us in the webinar. Just click on the link that I've given you. So I can't see your chat if you're chatting to me in YouTube. All right, so just read through the disclaimer. All right, we'll move along. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the Forex market for more than 15 years and mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website. You get my analysis at acy.com Market News tab, at our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles as well. Through the week as well in our Telegram channel, you can get access to me in Telegram. I'm providing analysis through there through the week. If you want to get access to our channel, just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat momentarily. If you want to get access to as well my chart layouts and templates for MT4, then contact Nathan as well. He will organize that for you. So I'll put that in the chat. There we go, that's in the chat. And if you've got any questions about opening an account or anything to do with a live account that you may already have, then just contact Nathan. He'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, so let's get into it. First up, we will look at what is coming out on the news front. We have a very high risk week this week for the news. So this evening, Tuesday, these times are Queensland time, 11:30 p.m. For the US, we've got the CPI data coming out. We don't at 9 p.m. have the Pound Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking, but the big one for the day is the US CPI data. That will tell us what inflation is doing in the US, because we do have, getting into Thursday morning, the US interest rate decision as well, expecting 50 basis point rise. So depending on what happens on the CPI fronts could affect what's happening on the interest rate front. So over the next day and a half, those are two big events that we should be looking to. So it's going to be very difficult just to take a trade right now ahead of CPI data, because the market could do anything it wants come 11:30 p.m. But we'll go through the levels that I'm watching and what levels you could be watching after the data release and see how price respects, and then come up with an approach from there. So we already have had this evening the Clement count change coming out, which was negative to what was forecast. And actually the pound went up, so I'm just reading through there. I had a forecast of 3.5K, but it changed by 30.5K. So that was a negative figure to what was expected. However, the pound did go up. So let's get into the charts. And first up, we'll have a look at the dollar index. So go to the monthly chart. And we've been having 3 negative months, or within the third negative month. This month, we might be getting support across this major monthly old double top. So this is the area that if we are putting in a bottom for the US dollar, this area of support should hold, potentially. So watch for that. On the weekly, I've been using this range from that low up to there. using that range because this was where the impetus started to move above the double top. So we're holding at the 79% level here on the weekly basis. We did have a bit of a weekly reversal last week. Is that going to show a reversal back up this week? Of course, we've got some heavy risk events coming out, so we will have to be watching this area down here. This area could well be support for the dollar index to move up, so then pairs to the US dollar should be going down. And pairs to the US dollar are definitely struggling to move further up their resistance levels. So dollar index is at support level, pairs to the US dollar are at resistance levels. So is this going to hold here, and are we going to be starting to move back up? And the S&P 500 has sold off from what is, this is a monthly chart, we're at monthly resistance here, lower top to a lower bottom coming up, just short of the 79% level, back up to monthly resistance. Back to the daily, we've traded down from that level to a lower bottom. Are we coming up now to putting a lower top? At the moment, we're just holding at the 62 level of that range. Are we going to be putting in a lower top here to start to move down? So are we going to start to be seeing the indices moving down, the US dollar moving back up? This week, as I say, is very heavy on the news. All right, so I might just start with, let's start with the dollar yen, because this is maybe putting in a bottom. This is the weekly look, where you actually pull back to monthly support. If you go to the monthly chart and zoom it out, we're holding on top of this top here at 135.16 over the month and starting to reverse back up. And the monthly trend is up, we've just been correcting, and the weekly trend is up. We're pulling back within this range. And where it's a 79% pullback, getting some support in here at the 135.16 monthly level of support. And we're putting in a higher bottom here on the day chart. So is that starting to show an uptrend? If I skip to my MACD charts, what we'll see is that MACD's crossed up on the daily here. So potentially, we could be putting in a bottom here, US dollar getting positive, yen getting sold off. So breaking above this top here at 137.85 is definitely going to put this in an uptrend in terms of higher tops and bottoms. And I'm looking that we could well be coming back up to target the major monthly top up here at 147.68. I did a video on that this morning. So structurally, monthly and weekly trends are up. Daily starting to shift back to up. So after whatever comes out today, and of course we've got the FOMC statement, I'm looking for price to start to break above 137.85, and then, you know, look for a pullback. We can break above 137.85. That could be a level to look to trade up from during the course of the week. All right. Trade up. So at the moment, I'm just looking for this to fall into a nice uptrend, and then can we see a pullback to trade within that trend? So I'm just waiting for a bit more information. The 4-hour trend is up here at the moment, but looking for a break above 137.85. That could well happen through the course of the day, and then look at 137.85 definitely to be support through the week. And I will start to structure a trade on the 4-hour chart looking at a pullback within this 4-hour uptrend. So just need some more information at the moment. Can we break above 137.85? I mean, if the news comes out tonight and this drops down and breaks below day support, then of course I'm not looking to the upside. But structure at the moment, it's starting to maybe form an uptrend. The only thing that's going to change that is the news. As long as the news doesn't come out with anything that's drastically US dollar negative, then this is definitely starting to form an uptrend. Okay, so over the coming days going to start to look for a lower time frame entry on a pullback, maybe on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so what I want to get across is pairs to the yen are starting to shift up. Dollar yen starting to shift up. We could well be seeing the bottoming out of the dollar, and we could well be seeing the yen crosses all starting to move up, especially if you start to get a very strong move up on the dollar yen, then that strength, or I would say the weakness to the yen side, will get translated into all the other yen crosses, and they should well be going up, which we are starting to see. So, all right, let's go to the Aussie yen and have a look. And this has been rather range bound, but what I want to get across to you is, whilst it's being very range bound here, the monthly trend is still holding. We can't break below monthly supports, break the trend. All right. We've been getting support down here on the weekly chart, this weekly low or ahead of it. And whilst we have a lower top on the weekly, we have a higher bottom. So it is a little bit mixed. And has been rather consolidatory on the day chart. Now, it is a bit difficult to determine the overall trend. If that dollar yen really starts to sprint up the chart, then this is probably moving up to this level of resistance up here, which is this weekly level of resistance across here. Where we failed here to move down. Now, we are at daily resistance at the moment. So if you draw a fib across this daily downtrend, we're at 79% level. So we may well see a failure at 93.15 daily resistance and the 79% level at 93.24. We'll have to wait and see what the news brings and how the market wants to react to that. So there's a possibility that we put in a lower top here to trade back down to test support. So if that starts to unfold, obviously we should then be looking for an opportunity to trade to the downside. So watch over the next 24 hours after the news gets released. Does 93.15 hold as resistance and the 79% level hold as resistance, or do we get a strong break north? If we do, then you want to be watching 93.15 to be support over the next 24 hours on any pullback. All right, so it's hard to tell whether we're getting a bottom out here in terms of trend, because the day trend is still down, but we've had 2, 4, 5, 7 positive days at the moment, including today, which hasn't finished. So 7 positive days might be showing its hand that we could be moving higher up to 95.73 up here, but we could see a failure at day resistance and the 79% fib. We'll have to wait and see what the news brings later on in the day. Okay, so we could well see a failure there for a move back down to test these support areas down here. If we close above 93.15 today, I would expect that we're moving up to the top of the range up here. So then looking for an opportunity to trade to the upside. All right, Aussie dollar. Now, from the monthly perspective, we have a lower top here to a lower bottom. Same on the weekly perspective here, lower top, lower bottom. And we're kind of hanging around a 62% area at the moment. We've been here for the last 3 or 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, we're in the 5th week. So can we break higher above weekly resistance here at 68.26, or are we simply putting in a top here for the long term? On your daily charts, the 67.97 day resistance level here is holding. Keep false breaking. We tested it Friday. We tested it yesterday. We could well see a spike up into that level today, following the news. So the level, I'll put this in the Telegram today, the level I am watching still this week is the 67.97 up to 6800 level, pretty much. If we keep seeing a false break there, that's a level to trade down from. And longer term, I'm anticipating we could be putting in a long-term top here for a movement back down this way. All right. And on the 4-hour, we are seeing a 79% failure up there. All right. And we are actually seeing a small head and shoulder pattern already formed there to move down. We get rid of that large fib. Then at the moment, we could see later in the day a rally back up to the 79% fib of that minor range, which overlaps with last month's high and the daily resistance level over here. All right, so I'm looking to the downside. If we get a rally back up and fail after the news, then we could see another top out there, could see a little minor head and shoulder pattern forming here, left shoulder. We did have a right shoulder kind of form there, but we can come up from our lower bottom to put in the further right shoulder area up at that 67.97 level. All right, so that could be where the market tops out this week. So have to wait and see how the market reacts when the news comes out later in the day. Now, as well through the week, we are getting a lot of support at the 66.81 to 66.71 weekly and monthly support down here. So whilst I'm anticipating we could well be moving down, we could still get support down here and hold and move back up. So for the buyers out there, that is the area to watch for the opportunities to buy down at weekly, monthly support there. All right, so it's been pretty much held at daily resistance, 67.97 for the sellers to trade down from. And at the moment, it's being held for the buyers at 66.81 down to 66.71 to move price back up. Okay, those are the best areas to look for selling and buying at the moment on that pair. Sooner or later, though, it is going to break one way or the other. And the dominant trends weekly and monthly are down. So I'd be more in line with trying to trade to the downside. Selling down from resistance. Okay, Euro yen. Now, the monthly trend, I've been saying this for quite a while. Even though we've been moving down, the monthly trend is still up. Higher tops and bottoms here. And we could be putting in a bottom here to move further up. So whilst the monthly is up, the weekly trend, there's a minor lower top here. But if we forget the minor lower top and look at the bigger structure, this bottom to top, then we have 62% retracement in here. And also there's an old monthly top here where we're getting that support low coming in. So to me, structurally longer term, this is looking like it's getting strong support down here for potentially a move up. Now, it has negotiated and it is above this area, which is monthly resistance at 144.26, which has been a prominent level, this area over here on daily. But we've moved above it this week. And I said on the weekend, we could well be popping above there to come up to 145.63 to test this top. We are now in an uptrend on the daily. Like I was showing you on the dollar yen hasn't quite put in a higher top, higher bottom. It's got a higher bottom, not quite a higher top, not like this pair. So we are seeing maybe a movement back up. We could be coming up to test the highs up here. All right, so we'll be aware of 145.63. You don't want to be trading into that level. At the moment now that we popped quite nicely above 144.26, to the 4-hour chart, a pullback to the 144.26 level. That's the monthly resistance level. 144.26 down to 144.100 now, and watch that area to be support for a further move up this week. So that would be the area we'll be watching for. If we can dip down to that area, 144.26 down to 144.100. And also be dragging a fib up from low to high, keep moving it up as price moves. I mean, we can move below that level, 62 levels at 143.91. But what I'd like to see, if we dip that deep, that it doesn't stay down there too long, it just dips down and comes straight back above the figure. So that could be the area to watch. Anywhere from 143.91 as a low point, down to 144.100. Okay. That could be good support for the next move up. Keeping that 4-hour structuring trend. So we are in an uptrend at the moment, just looking for a pullback, and tomorrow I'm going to talk about Fibonacci, looking here for a pullback to 62 level before the trend resumes back up, and then trading up to test that weekly resistance level. We could follow through to the 127 extension. So looking for a pullback to continue the trend. All right, euro dollar. Now, the monthly trend remains down. We're fractionally short of this old low. That old low is at 106.35. So the monthly is clearly down, but we're rallying. Weekly has actually turned to up. Last week we had quite an indecision week, a very small kind of spinning top finishing week. And we got fraction short of that monthly resistance level, which is that low over here, 106.35. And if you look left on the daily, there's kind of a triple top area here. Daily resistance at 106.01, which we haven't been able to get to. Weekly resistance at 106.15. So in the volatility of the news tonight and maybe the FOMC statement on early Wednesday, what is it, Thursday, be early Thursday morning, we could definitely get into this zone. This could be a very strong level of resistance to trade down from. Of course, at the moment, it's capping the market. We can't quite get there. So that's quite clearly where the sellers are. And if we have a day down today, we're going to put in a lower top. So are we topping out? On my MACD charts, I just did the Aussie before and the euro yen. The Aussie dollar has turned down. The euro yen has turned up in line with the uptrend I'm seeing. The euro dollar is turning down. All right, so what we are seeing is pairs to the US dollar, MACDs are crossing down. What was the Aussie yen doing? Aussie yen's turning up. So as I was saying to you before about the dollar yen moving up, Aussie yen I think is going to move up potentially, although we could fail at the 79% Phil was discussing. But we're definitely seeing potentially cross-ups of the yen pairs, cross-downs of the pairs to the dollar. So on the euro dollars, I'm covering that pair at the moment. This is crossing down on the MACD and the daily. Are we going to start to see 1 or 2 days down to put a lower top? And are we going to put maybe an ultimate top in there? So back to these charts. So levels to watch, if we do spike up, 106.100 up to 106.35 could be strong resistance to look to fashion a short. Last week, 104.79, this top area here, whilst we dipped below it, offered support. So if we do start to trade down, 104.79 is where we really need to break hard through. If we don't, and that holds, then those that are interested in the buy side, this is where you should be looking to buy on support. So if support comes in at 104.79 and we start to move back above 105.100, then that's where you need to look to structure a trade to the upside for a run up to 106.100. So we're kind of stuck between 106.100 and 105.100, okay? So either side of the market, you can trade at the moment, trading up from 105.100, trading down from 106.100, depending on what the news brings this week at the moment. But more to the fact that we're potentially topping out long term here. So I'm actually looking to the downside for a longer term move down, but we'll have to wait and see what the news brings. The news will probably dictate what we're going to be doing this week overall. And if we do start to move to the downside, I can see that we have a number of imbalances that need to be potentially filled. There's one there. There is one in here. I could drag that up to maybe there. All right, a couple of imbalances that need to be filled there to the downside. Imbalances that needed to be filled to the upside. There was potentially one in here that could still the need maybe to fill that potentially, which is fractionally above my area of resistance. So you can watch those areas to get filled potentially. We might not fill this one because that's only a very small one, but there are some larger ones to the downside here from where we've been moving up. All right, so pound yen. Still very range bound. We've come all the way back up to resistance here. Is this where the market's going to hold to move back down? We're giving you the kind of commentary that I think the pairs to the yen are going to move up. We may not hold there, but you'll just have to watch to see what happens. The monthly trend here is quite clearly up. We've moved to a higher top. All right. And the weekly, it's putting in a higher bottom here. It's been a little bit consolidatory, but it's higher top, higher bottom. Is this been consolidating to move higher? If we, what you're going to have to look for here is, what does the day chart tell you at the end of today? Do we get a clear rejection to the downside? If we do, you want to start to drop to a lower times to structure trade to the downside from this area. We could well be breaking above there by the end of the day, depending what the news does. All right, I mean, this could still stay in consolidation because the dollar yen could go up strongly. The pound dollar could move down strongly. And then this really can't move anywhere because of, if the pound loses as much as the yen loses, then it's going to be a stalemate like it's been for, a number of weeks in here. It's just very much range bound. So we could see a failure up at weekly and monthly resistance and daily resistance here. Just going to have to watch the candle action on the day chart. What does it tell you? If we reject today, then look to your lower time frame to start to structure. The 4-hour structure here is still up, so the 4-hour chart's not telling you we're getting a failure there yet. But if the 4-hour structure starts to show negativity, then of course you need to be looking to trade down. So we'll just have to wait and see what the day chart tells us by the end of the day in that area. Well, we're at clear resistance at the moment. Resistance could hold. Pound dollar. Now the monthly trend is clearly down, lower top to bottom. Your weekly trend is up. Last week we put in a negative week there, you can see it. Are we creating a double top here? We're going to hold here. We tested the double top again. The high that's forming the double top from that high to this high. This week we've tested that top again at 122.93, tested it today and yesterday. In Telegram I said today we might come up to 122.93 to 12300 area to test, which we have. All right, so the daily, very much like the euro dollar, we could be performing a lower top there. On my MACD charts, the pound dollar is crossing down here. So are we topping out? All the pairs to the US dollar are crossing down on the MACD. All right, so it's difficult. This is the area to trade at, but it's difficult to hold the trade at the moment with the news items coming out. We could just, say, okay, I don't care about the news items and trade. I'm at a very good level, but I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do. So we are at resistance, clear resistance that's been holding now for a good week and a half. We are getting support down here at 121.55, resistance at 122.93 to 12300 area. So sellers should be looking to engage at resistance, and at the moment buyers can be looking to engage at support because there's just a battle in here. Buyers are holding support, sellers are holding resistance. So which will win out? If we could stay in consolidation all week, in true reality, in fact, we could stay in consolidation all the way through Christmas if we really wanted to. So those are the two areas of the market that you could be trading at: trading down from resistance, trading up from support. 4-hour, you can see it's lower top, higher bottom at the moment. There is a 79% across the range that we're kind of holding to here. That's at 122.93. We've touched it 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, and we're kind of holding there. Bit of a left shoulder here, head, and a bit of an elongated right shoulder falling maybe in here. So it'd be nice if we could start to break to the downside. So could we break to the downside from the area that we're watching to a lower bottom? All right. Then, can we see like a smaller 79% retracement rally to get short. Looks highly suspicious, like we can't move through 123, but the news will confirm that for us, I am sure, over the next couple of days. All right, so looking for that kind of setup, maybe. I don't know if I'm that keen to get long. This is so high up now. And with the MACD crossing down, it's running out of momentum. So once the news items can pass, it'd be great if it could still be at 122.93 area, failing to get on board to the downside. Now, the New Zealand yen that's been holding at this weekly resistance area, it is, it's doing the same story that I've been saying on the other yen pairs. It's starting to break up north above the high there. All right. It is still very much, if you move to your monthly chart, in a very high area of resistance, getting to the top of the range. It's been very range bound on the monthly for a very, very long time. But, from long periods of consolidation, look at this area here, you can get a very strong break. So maybe we're going to get a strong break out of this area. We're just going to have to wait and see what price can do over a few days, maybe. If we get a strong break, then what we could be looking for is, what has been resistance to become support. If we get 1 or 2 good break days forward now, you're simply watching 87, 86 to be support. All right. So over the next couple of days, we need to see what price does here. Do we get 2 or 3 good days above and a pullback? Or do we simply get a strong rejection? All right. Hasn't been able to move up so high for the best part of 9 months, something like that, 8 or 9 months. So are we getting a clear breakout here? All right, so we need to see a clear breakout, pull back to then support, and then look to structure a trade to the upside there. I think in my mind, I'm thinking that yes, the yen pairs are going to be moving higher. I feel like we've had that US dollar sell-off, and the dollar yen is going to start to move back up. And that yen weakness we're going to see versus the dollar, we're going to start to see that on all these other yen crosses. All right, New Zealand dollar, very much like a lot of the other pairs to the dollar. Are we topping out? Go to my MACD charts just to show you that we are crossing down. Okay, so all the pairs to the US dollar are showing the same story. We've run it all the way back up. Are we forming a double top? To your weekly look here and your monthly look. Minor monthly top, we're fractions short. There's the weekly look. We're short of that weekly top. We could still come up and stab into there with the news this week, but there's still the potential for a double top to form here. So that weekly top is at 64.68. It's a monthly top too. Are we going to form a lower top here? All right. That daily resistance here, 63.95, is pretty much holding the day chart at the moment. All right, last week I discussed on the 4-hour chart, potential for this to be a left shoulder there at 64.12, 79% fib retracement. You can see it's held there twice, lining up with that 4-hour top. If you have been trading there, you could have made some profits. Is it going to continue hold? Will we see another test today into 64.12? We could see a spike up to these tops today and a false break. And then can we start seeing a move down? Of course, we can move higher. So we could obviously stab up to 64.68 today on the news. We could maybe just come up to these 4-hour highs. Is this 79% structure going to hold for a further move down? Are we seeing a topping out process at the moment for a much more longer-term move to the downside? That's what I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating that maybe the dollar index has bottomed, and all these pairs are at very high levels at resistance at the moment. Are they going to start seeing movement back down to the current year lows? I'm not anticipating we can get down to the year low in December, but as we move into January, February, March, are we going to be coming down to test? All right, so if you do start to see, and on any of these pairs to the US dollar, so the Aussie dollar, Euro dollar, pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, if we start to see a lower top, lower bottom formation forming, you know, it's well worth getting on board one of these pairs to the US dollar because we could be moving down to the lows that we formed this year in the first quarter next year. All right, dollar Canadian. Now on weekly charts, well, we've had this pullback. We've got great support on weekly support here. So structurally on the weekly here, it's holding that trend. I just want to move to the monthly. I've been discussing that we could be seeing left shoulder, head, or right shoulder, but we really need to see a weekly chart turn to down, at least put in a significant lower top, which we're not having. So at the moment, we've got some resistance that we're trading into. 37.15, we'll see that in the day chart at the moment. Monthly resistance at 137.92, and that higher line is weekly resistance. So the monthly trend is up, the weekly trend is up, putting in a further higher bottom. And we do have, you know, daily, monthly, and weekly resistance levels to now try to move through. Your day chart is quite clearly in an uptrend at the moment. It is stalling here over the last few trading days. Of course, it knows the news is coming out, so it doesn't want to start to commit any higher at the moment. But in terms of strength versus the US dollar, or I should say, in terms of, you know, pairs to the US dollar have been moving up. So the dollar Canadian, though, has been doing the opposite. Whilst pairs to the US dollar haven't quite proven that they've topped out, this is the inverse relationship. The dollar Canadian has definitely proved that it's bottomed out. All right, so this has been starting to show that change way in advance of the change that we're not quite seeing yet when we're talking about topping out process on the pairs to the dollar. So this is definitely leading the US dollar rally. So at the moment, depending on what the news does, I would definitely look for support to come in at 135.02, 13500 level. So depending on what the news does, I would have a fib drawn across from there to there. And what you're going to see as I break it down to the 4-hour chart here is a 62 level will overlap with day support. So that would be a great level to watch over the coming days. All right, I don't want to be a buyer into resistance, and we're quite close to resistance up here. But if we do get some kind of pullback, watch the 62 level, overlaps with day supports. So the 135 area, okay, would be a great level to watch. Price to have a corrective pullback to, and then do you start to see a movement back up? All right. We are getting some support, you know, if we don't move that low, we are getting some support on the 4-hour chart here. 135.88 down to 135.61. All right, so if price just comes down into this area and holds, it is forming some form of consolidation period here at the moment. Just going to draw it in roughly. All right, so with the higher time frame trends being up, you know, we could see a movement down into this area to hold, and then a movement back up. So watch this area. Approximately, you know, the lowest point of the area is at 135.59-ish level. Okay. All right, we cover the dollar yen, and you know, structurally, let's say higher bottom. Euro yen's leading, and the New Zealand yen's definitely leading in terms of the weakness we're seeing on the yen at the moment. So let's have a look at gold. Now, Thursday I just drew in a little bit of an imbalance in here. That was, I think it's from the 1-hour chart. and it was referencing near these tops as well, and we came up into the area to trade back down. Don't know whether anybody traded up there, but we could be failing on gold. It's leading a little bit the pairs to the US dollar to the downside. So what we're seeing is we do have an uptrend on the weekly chart. We've had a triple bottom form. We've moved up to higher top, higher bottom to a further higher top, but we're maybe forming a double top across here. And we're moving back below this area now of resistance at 170, so at 1786. So we're getting capped at the 1800 level. So like I was just discussing, we could be forming a double top on the New Zealand dollar, pound dollar. Are we forming a double top on gold here? Are we forming a lower top now to move down through the higher bottom to move back down the range? All right. It doesn't like it at the moment. Anything above 1800 is very hard going for gold. So 4 hour, lower tops and bottoms. Depending on how volatile things get with the news over the next 2 days, we could see a revisit back up to the 1807 level. But at the moment, putting the news aside, we're seeing a 4 hour downtrend here. So, we could just see, and we are already failing at 62% level. Maybe we're already failing today, putting in a lower top to move down from the 62% level and last month's high and that weekly resistance level at 1786. So we're getting capped there today to move down. All right, it's just starting to look like we're breaking down from the weekly resistance levels at the moment. All right, so depending on what the news does, we could spike up today. I would definitely this week be watching 1807 to be further resistance on another test. All right. Looking like we're breaking down there on gold. Is that leading the breakdown of the pairs to the US dollar a little bit? Time will tell. All right, anyway, so those are the levels to watch at the moment. It's a little bit difficult to engage. We do have, if you're coming in a little bit late with me, on the news front today, we have on the US, 11:30 p.m. CPI data, month on month, year on year. We're expecting that inflation will potentially subside down to 7.3%. If that upticks to like 7.8, then I would guess the pairs to the US dollar are going to be moving downwards. All right, if things come in on print, then we might see a little bit of a jostle to the upside for the pairs to the US dollar. I don't know how much higher we can go if we just come in on print. And then we'll be looking to the next data release, which will be the US interest rate decision early Thursday morning, okay? And we do have tomorrow at 5 p.m. for the pound CPI data. Expecting, if I'm correct in saying that CPI is definitely the inflation rate for the pound, then their inflation is at 10.9% expecting to come out tomorrow, down from 11.1. So they're expecting a little bit of a downtick. We do as well from the UK perspective have interest rate decisions coming out on Thursday evening, 10 o'clock. So it's very high impact news items coming out all week. UK CPI data, UK interest rate decision on Thursday, 10 p.m. We've got the Eurozone interest rate decision at 11:15 p.m. I've got Swiss interest rate decision at 6:30 p.m. All right, so lots of risk items coming out. So get your levels set on your charts, on your favorite pairs. Try to wait for the news to come out first of all so you don't get blown out of the market. And then hopefully once the news comes out, price doesn't move too aggressively one way or the other, and you can start to structure a trade up or down from the levels that you're watching. But it's not going to be easy this week with all these high impact news items coming out to try to, do you hold a position or start to take a trade ahead of a news item because you're getting a setup, and then, the news comes out and it doesn't go the way of your analysis. So It's what at the moment this week, it's one thing to analyze, but it's then trading with what the news delivers to you. So the safer option is always to wait for the news to come out and then let the dust settle, and then can you see a trading opportunity afterwards? Of course, yes, you could see a setup. You don't take it because the news is coming out, and then the news comes out and sends the market the way of your trade setup, and you're not in because you were, looking after the risk. So yes, that can be frustrating, but trading isn't just a 1 week affair. It is definitely a 52-week affair. So what you don't want to do is blow yourself out of the water, do some major damage to your account when we have these very risk events coming out. So it is a question of trying to dodge the risk and then trade at the moment. The other thing we do have coming up, obviously, is we've got this week and next week. By next week, things might start to slow down as we head to the Christmas period. So we do also have the potential of the market slowing down as we get into next week, especially into the latter end of next week. Okay, so things to bear in mind as we're getting to the end of the year. All right. All right, any questions? For those that want to join me this week for webinars, we do have. Tomorrow, we're going to go take you through Fibonacci. How to use the Fibonacci tool properly, how to draw it properly, the price roadmap, and how to identify the trend continuation pattern. That's what's coming tomorrow, and then more live analysis on Thursday. So when I do it on Thursday, we'll have got past the FOMC statement. So hopefully things are a little bit more clearer and safer to trade. Okay. All right, any questions before I let you go? Thanks for coming and joining me this evening. All right, nothing's coming in the chat, so I may call it a day there. So depending on where you are in the world, I'm in Queensland. So for me, I'll have to be up at 11:30 tonight to catch the US CPI data. If you're in New South Wales, that's 12:30 in the morning, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate enough at 11:30. I much prefer it when we're in the Northern Hemisphere summer. We have daylight saving shift there, and news items come out at 10:30 my time in the evening. It's a lot more user-friendly, but we just have to put up with this 24-hour global market. So depending on where you are in the world, it might be a bit more user-friendly for you for the US news, but for some of us in Australia, it can be a little bit difficult. All right, everybody, thanks very much. So watch those levels. If you're not in our Telegram, just contact Nathan. I'll put his chat in I'll put his details in the chat. So do get access to our Telegram so I can give you an update through the week. Other than that, thanks very much for attending this evening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Okay, so just watch that news item tonight. Take my word for it, it's going to be very volatile, I'm sure. So look for a trade sort of after the news rather than ahead would be the prudent approach. Okay, thanks everyone. Joel, before I go, you're asking me how to compute resistance and support. Well, what I would suggest you do is get access to the chart layouts that I'm using, because all my support and resistance that I discuss, I draw. If I go to my, say, daily chart, my euro dollar, I use the significant highs and lows on my chart that are defined by the support and resistance indicator. All right. So what I would suggest you do is get access to the charts. I will just put Nathan's details in the chat once more, so you could contact him. And if you contact him, he'll set them up for you, and I'm sure he will give you a 5-minute lesson over the phone. All right. Now, I do have a webinar where I just go through support and resistance, but I can't really do it in 5 minutes. But if you get that set up, have a chat with Nathan. He will be able to as well. If you have a chat with Nathan, get the chart set up, he'll be able to give you the recording to a webinar on support and resistance and how to draw it. That'll probably be your best approach just catch the last webinar that I did on support and resistance, and he'll be able to give you the link for that. Okay. Thanks, Joel. All right. Thanks, everybody.